guys, so today I am finally getting around to doing a video that I've wanted to make for a little while now, but this weekend I received an incredibly sweet message from a subscriber of mine, and it was just full of encouraging and uplifting words, and it finally gave me the inspiration that I needed to sit down and share this story with you guys. Not only was the message, extremely kind, but she sent it without even realizing it on a weekend where I really needed to hear something like that. And her doing that kind of reminded me of my experience with being on YouTube and connecting with others, and not only the lessons that I've learned through this experience, but the life lessons that I have learned in general. It's July 4th weekend, which has always been one of my favorite times of the year. It's my favorite holiday, and it's a time of year that I've always enjoyed and still do, but the last few years it's also become a time of year that is extremely hard for me, and I always get into a little bit of a funk, I guess you'd say, and feeling a little down, because it's also a time of year that reminds me a lot of my dad. And I start thinking about him a lot because it was his favorite time of year and it was his favorite holiday, and I have a lot of memories that kind of surround the July 4th holiday with him. So not only that, but July 4th, 2011 was the last time that I ever got to talk to my dad, because a few days after that, my dad, when I was 18, committed suicide. I have shared before that growing up, my dad was a really bad alcoholic, and he had some mental things that kind of I think caused alcoholism. I think he turned to alcohol for a lot of those issues, and in order to function with some of the mental issues he was dealing with, he used alcoholism as a coping mechanism, and then it just became something that he relied on day after day. And growing up, it was hard, but it almost became a part of me, and just was something I was so used to that I was able to live my life and lived, a fairly normal childhood, and every other aspect of my childhood was fairly normal, except I had this alcoholic parent. For the most part, he was a functioning alcoholic, but there were times where it would be worse than others, and he would end up losing his job for drinking on the job, and he would enter like a rehab center. So all my life it was kind of this up and down of, oh, things are really good right now. Yes, he's drinking, but he's holding it together. And then there were times of, things are really bad, he's in rehab, and this whole time it was just something I kind of coped with myself. Of course I had like my mom and sister who knew, but I never really was open about it. I never told my friends, because it was also something that I was really embarrassed, because I grew up in a really small, country town in Oklahoma, so it was just something where I felt like no one else would understand, no one else would be able to relate, so I kept it to myself all growing up, and I never told anyone. In October 2010, I was living away in the dorms of my freshman year of college, and I drove home one weekend to visit. And that weekend, it was just, one of those weekends where kind of everything hit at once. He was kind of spiraling downhill. And when I went back to college after that weekend was over, I would sit in my dorm and just like dwell on things. And so I started thinking, I need something to get my mind off of everything that was going on. Not only that, but I was homesick, and I didn't fit in at the college that I was at the time, and I was having just a really hard time. And so I turned to YouTube. And October 6th of 2010, I made my first YouTube video, just as a way to get my mind off something. I never thought it would ever turn into what it is. I never thought I'd keep up with it, but at that point in time, that moment, I just needed to do anything to get my mind off of everything I was thinking about. So thus my YouTube journey began. So months went by, I continued to make YouTube videos from my dorm, and then I eventually moved back home to live with my mom and just commute to college, and still made videos. My dad lived in a rehab center for most of these months, and then close to July he ended up leaving, and he was living with a friend who offered him a job. He was trying to get back on his feet. He called me the night of July 4th, 2011, and I talked about how he was doing better and getting on his feet, and we just talked for a long time. It was the first 4th of July that I hadn't spent with him in, 18 years. So after that I hung up, and a couple days had passed, and it was a few days after that that we discovered that my dad decided to take his own life. After that happened, even though I've never been a sharer, I've never been a very open person, something kind of compelled me to make a video on it. And I felt really unsure of this. So I talked to my mom and sister, and they, encouraged me to do so. And my mom explained to me that, maybe me sharing this and sharing my experience with growing up with an alcoholic parent and growing up with someone who wasn't mentally stable all the time, and sharing my personal experience with knowing someone and them committing suicide, maybe it would help someone. So about a week or so after my dad passed away, I did make a video explaining what happened. And I uploaded it, and I was nervous beyond belief. I was so scared, and I'd always received a lot of support from YouTube, but this was a whole different, ball game. I was being completely raw and open about my life, and I didn't know how people were going to react to this. And I wish that I could physically make you feel what I felt when I received the amount of support and encouragement and positive thoughts as I did when I made that video. When you lose someone, to suicide, or anyway, when you lose someone you're close to, you go through a lot of different emotions, you go through a lot of stages of grief, and I did as well. It was really hard dealing with all my emotions. They were very inconsistent. When I first found out about my dad, I felt numb at first. It was almost like I didn't believe it. He was in rehab for a portion of my life, so in my mind I kind of thought he's still in rehab. I almost didn't want to believe it. And then I went through a stage of being really mad because I thought, he was given this body and he was able to live this life, and there are people who would give anything for another day on earth, and he just gave his life up, and I was so angry. And then I felt relief because I had always grew up with an alcoholic parent, and being worried about, him drinking and driving, and him being on the road and putting his life at jeopardy and other people's lives in jeopardy, and when is the next time that he's going to threaten suicide? When is he going to lose his job for drinking on the job? And it was almost a relief to not have those worries anymore. And then I went through a stage of feeling complete guilt because everyone always says, suicide's 100% preventable, and you can't help but wonder, what could I have done, what could I have said that might have changed the outcome of this situation? Through experiencing all those inconsistent feelings, the one thing that remained consistent in my life was YouTube. After uploading that video, I received 50 to 100 comments right off the bat, which isn't a lot to some people, but at that time, I hadn't been on YouTube that long. I had just reached 1,000 subscribers. And I received dozens of personal emails of just the kindest, most encouraging words from people all over the world who didn't know me, didn't know who I was, who had never met me, but took time out of their day to just send me positive thoughts and send their prayers and their encouraging words and tell me how much my story meant to them, and some people could relate to it and how it had helped them. And at that moment, my outlook on YouTube and life completely changed because I realized how big of a thing YouTube is, because I was able to reach people, and people were able to reach me from all over the world. And I started to learn about these people and connect with these people on such a personal level. It was in that moment that I knew that any goal or dream that I had ever wanted from YouTube had been met. I could have stopped making YouTube then. I could have never gained another view, another subscriber after then. And I had already accomplished everything that I'd ever wanted from YouTube, and that was to help someone. That moment kind of sums up what I have learned from YouTube and what I've gained from YouTube the past almost 4 years. It was an experience that lifted my confidence and taught me to be proud of myself, but it also humbled me beyond belief. And I know those probably sound like two counteractive things, but growing up I was a really quiet kid, and even like teenager I was just really shy, and I wasn't bullied in school, but I was just kind of forgotten about because I was so quiet that no one really ever wanted to talk to me because I never really had a lot to say, so I never really had a lot of friends. And I remember when I got my very first boyfriend, a girl in my class had told him, "Why would you want to date her? She's like talking to a brick wall." And I remember, even though that might sound so silly, I remember that hurting so bad. So seeing people go out of their way to watch my videos and take the time to comment and want to hear me talk and want to listen to me talk has lifted my confidence and made me so proud of myself, but also has humbled me so much because it's made me realize that if people who don't know me from all over the world can take time out of their day to give me a view or to send me a nice message or comment or like my video or like an Instagram picture or tweet me on Twitter, if they can take their time out of their day to do that for someone that they don't know, who they've never met and maybe will never meet, and want and wish for nothing in return, there is no reason on this earth that I can't take time out of my day to help someone else. It's for that reason that I think YouTube has become such a special thing for me, because I really feel connected to you guys for many reasons other than those that have messaged me regarding my dad, but for anything that we've talked about or shared. So that's why I really respect my subscribers more than I think I could ever get across, and why I do think YouTube is such a precious thing. And that's why it can be kind of frustrating to me, because YouTube has changed significantly since I started in 2010 with people just sitting down in front of their webcams to make a video. And I understand things need to change. I don't like change. I think it's the human condition not to like change. But it is frustrating to me because I feel like there's this ever-widening gap between the relationship of subscribers and content creators. And these content creators are becoming almost famous-like for making YouTube videos, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss the old days where YouTube was focused on what they could do for the subscribers, whereas now I feel like they're more focused on what they're doing for the content creators. And these people that are making careers out of YouTube would be nowhere in this world if it wasn't for their subscribers. So that's why I genuinely respect you guys with everything I do on YouTube, and why I realize that my subscribers aren't just these whole sums of people. They're individual people with families and wishes and dreams and goals in life, and I'm gonna treat them with respect because that's what they've done for me for the past almost 4 years that I've been on YouTube. Getting back to sharing that video when I was 18, and I'm almost 22 now. I was so young and had so much to learn from life, and so scared to put that video out there. But I'm so happy that I did, because it has helped so many people. To this day, I get emails from people who lost someone to suicide or are dealing with an alcoholic parent or friend, and my video helped them, and they were able to relate to it, and I was able to see that there are people out there that went through the same exact things I did. As unfortunate as that is, it's also comforting to know that you're not alone in this world. And I think oftentimes when we are going through something, we kind of feel like we're the only ones going through it. And so why I think YouTube is so amazing is it lets people see that they are not alone. Even if it's not someone that they know in real life, they find people that they're able to relate to. And that's why I will always have a love for YouTube, no matter how much it changes, no matter, what it becomes. I had an amazing experience, and I'm so happy that I was able to learn those lessons only 8 months into YouTube and get that experience, because it has shaped me as a person and has shaped my whole experience with being a YouTuber. I wanted to make this video as a reminder to myself and to others that anytime you're going through anything in life, you're not alone. And we all go through things. We all have different trials and tribulations that we have to overcome in life. And we don't always go through the same things, but everyone goes through something. And I've mentioned this before, that we all have that one thing, that one negative thing in our life that kind of pulls you down. And for me growing up, it was I have an alcoholic dad, and having to hide that, and having people look at me as the daughter of an alcoholic parent. And now for the rest of my life, I will always have to deal with the fact that my dad's not here anymore, and that he left this world by taking his own life, and if I could have prevented that. And dealing with guilt's a hard thing, and I know it's something that I will have to overcome. But what I've learned, and the most important lesson I've learned in life, and I think I will ever learn in life, is the power of having a positive attitude and realizing what you've been given and what you've been dealt, and being appreciative of what life has to offer, even if it's not perfect, even if you're going through something. I try to look at life in a positive way all the time, because I truly believe that just because you have something bad in your life doesn't mean that you have a bad life. I am so unbelievably grateful and thankful for the life that I have and the life that I lead, and the family that I was given, and the YouTube family that was created. I don't think I'd be the same person in this world if it wasn't for the experience and the lessons that I learned through being a YouTuber. It's way more. It's way more than money. I'll say that much. One of the things that girl said in that message was that my channel is full of positivity, and that means the world to me. Because as I mentioned, positivity is something that I strive for in life. And to know that that is shown through my videos, honestly, is a feeling that I can't even articulate into a coherent sentence. But it makes me extremely, extremely happy. So that is why with every video I put out, I try to make sure that I show and keep my YouTube a happy place. And I owe a lot of that to you guys, because you send me, you know, things that keep my channel positive and encouraging. And even though I get some mean comments every now and then, the majority of my comments are positive and respectful. And you guys are respectful to me, which is why I will always be respectful to you with everything that I do, and you know, keep my channel genuine and real. So thank you to not only the girl that sent me that message this weekend, on a weekend that without her even realizing it came, on a weekend where I desperately needed to hear some encouraging and uplifting comments. But thank you to every single person who has taken the time to watch a video, or like a video, or leave me a comment, or send me a message, or tweet me, or leave me a comment on Instagram. Everything you guys do does not go unnoticed. I can promise you. Pretty much all I had to say. I'm sorry if this wasn't the easiest video to watch. It's probably a little all over the place because it wasn't the easiest video to film. So I hope that you guys are having a great week, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!